We've got Doug here who owns Mighty House, and we have a 3D tour that we can take you on as well as pictures. Yeah. We didn't really plan on just running through it as a tour. We wanted to address it more, see what you guys wanted, because we figured we'd just get a couple people at a time. So that was how we wanted to do it. Doug, if you want to, if you want to start talking about stuff, I can either go to the pictures or the tour, whichever you.
Why don't we get a tour and just start running people through it so they can come in and see.
Okay.
And if anyone has any questions along the way, I guess just speak up.
So this is
at the entry as we're coming on in, and then to the kitchen and dining.
I should have
house.
Sorry, I should have flipped around and gone into the entryway first. Let me go outside so we can kind of see where we're coming from. I think I can go out and look back. All right, so basically, let me see if I can go outside. I don't think we have an image of that. So this is the entryway of the house. We'll show you what it looks like in the images.
So the entryway was an addition. The house actually ended right there between the tile and the wood transition. That was the original entrance to the house. And so it was a tiny addition, and then the rest of the house was pretty much just remodeled on the main floor.
I'm trying to turn around here so you guys can see the live wood edge bench and shelf as well.
Doug, is this your house?
No, this is it's a house that's in West Seattle.
It's a client's house.
And we worked on it. Yeah, it's a client's house.
Okay.
And in kind of our text here, we talked about the quartz counter. That's one of the features. I don't know if you want to touch on that at all, Doug, or if anyone has any questions about that. Go also through.
And then in their den back there, that used to be a flat ceiling. That ceiling then we vaulted, and the fireplace was always existing, but we changed that and tiled around it.
If anyone has any questions, please just pipe in.
And that is actually just a sleeping cat.
Oh, is it?
On the back porch. It's kind of funny that he got that. And,
nice. How peaceful.
Is this crawl space?
Yes. So the whole house is a crawl space. It's a single level house, and there's a crawl space under, like, there's multiple additions that were done to this house over the years. That whole back den was a addition years ago. And then we did the addition out front.
So were you able to upgrade a lot of insulation as part of this process?
So we upgraded all the addition or the insulation in the old addition, which is the den. We refluffed the entire attic, and then we fixed, there was a bunch of insulation that had fallen in the crawl space. We didn't completely redo the crawl space, but fixed every issue that they were having to keep it from falling down.
What's the heating system here?
It's a forced air heat. We didn't change that. The one thing that was added to it is there's a heat pump on the outside to help get them a little more energy efficient and give them air conditioning in the summer.
Right.
And strangely enough, right now, it's nice to have the fact that they can have a little better filtered air on the inside and air movement.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You did the roof on this one as well?
Yeah, so the whole house got a new roof, a standing, well, a bent metal seam roof. So it's like extra thick steel because they wanted a few specific things, and there's some low pitches to it in the front. And they put all new half round gutters around the outside. These are the old house, what it used to look like. That's the old fireplace and kitchen. The kitchen is pretty much in the exact same place. It's just completely gutted and remodeled.
Yeah, let me just scroll through these, I guess would be an easier way to do this, wouldn't it?
And then it does have a, it's a gas on-demand hot water heat system.
This is where the addition is in the...
Yeah, so this was an old addition.
Oh, okay.
No, sorry. This is the front of the house, yes.
Yep.
So that window, that big window, we moved to the right by about 1.5 feet, and then that door and closet, we took those out, and that's where the front entryway is, the new front entryway. And that's what the house used to look like from the front.
Yep.
Here.
Okay, well, thank you.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, and what's the process? How do we move on then? Oh, I see. Yeah, so let's say we want to leave this site and go to a different site. Do I just...
I think you can just leave the meeting at the bottom of your screen. Perhaps there's a button.
Oh, yeah. It says leave.
I think you can just leave.
And then I just click on the next site and I get invited back to join the Zoom at that.
I believe that's how it works.
I'm going to give that a whirl, but thank you for this.
All right. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Over here. This is the remodeled front. Once again, if anybody's joined us, please jump in with any questions you have. Doug, was this a request of the client to do the live edge thing, or?
Yeah, he specifically went out and found a old piece of wood. He wanted the live edge for that, a little bench somewhere. And then the coat rack was the other half of that bench that after it was cut off to fit. And we suggested that we can put that up there and create a coat rack of something to at least set a few things on and hang their coats on.
This is the entry into Hi, Roni. I see you just joined us. Feel free to ask questions if you have any. We're just taking a tour through the finished product. We'll go back and look at the before pictures as well, and we have a 3D tour as well that we're taking a look at. These are laminate covered cabinets.
Kind of, is it a barnwood look? But it is just it is a laminate. It's not true barnwood.
It was when I was writing about the project. We also used Shoshuji-ban. That's right? The burnt wood, Japanese style of wood that's burnt to preserve the wood and to get a specific look to it. And there's different chars that are done to it. And so this is done with that Shoshuji-ban style of wood preservation. I thought at first the inside was, the cabinets were too, but they are not. It's this outside exterior part of the house. I love all the cabinets in the house, though. I envy all the cabinets in the house. Let me put it that way. We have a question from Tracy about the walkway in front of the house, Doug. Is it raised up?
So yes, it is raised up, but just slightly. The original walkway, you actually stepped down on a concrete walkway to the house, and then you would take a couple steps back up. He changed that years ago and literally just put a 4x6 on either side of the walkway, and then the what I'm thinking, the Ipe stairs resting on it. So it's actually only about 6 inches, 8 inches above the original walkway, but that used to be a concrete walkway, and he specifically put those boards in and made them look a little more random as they were coming in like that. That was the homeowner did that years ago, and we just actually continued a little further on it, or actually took a little off and then had to reconnect it to the house.
Oh. And that Ipe is the ironwood, correct?
Yes.
Doug? Yeah. Which lasts forever without preservatives. Okay, so this is looking into the kitchen. After we've come inside, this is where those cabinets were over there. This is looking back into the entryway. You can see how much space, much more counter space they got from that little wooden counter that they had before to this thing. I don't know. Is this the tile? Let's see. I think we have a better picture of it behind the.
Yeah. So the yellow tile is the fire clay tile.
And what is special about fire clay tile?
It's just a handmade tile.
Okay.
And they can come up with the colors are more unique because it's pretty much every time they make tile, it's only made for that one firing of it. And so if you're short on tile, they have to refire and try to really match the existing tile. So you have to send some of your tile back for them to match. So you always make sure you have extra of it. And they have a lot of really fun designs that they can create, and just the finishes are more unique. And I see a question, the material on the lower cabinets, it's a laminate to look more like a barnwood on the lower cabinets.
And what is the size on the island, Doug?
Overall width was, oh my gosh, I'm trying to remember now. It's like 3 feet by 11 feet. So it's a very large sitting workspace, everything. The one end down there where Nick is kind of has an area, there's an open area there for seating.
And there's also the plugs, switches installed, flat, what are they called, Doug? Help me out here.
Yeah, it's just the sunken, hidden electrical outlets.
Yeah.
That way you can have them in countertops because we're required to have so many. But this also gives you the ability to sit there if you need a computer or a blender or something and have enough space to put it all in or plug everything in that you need.
The clients also specifically wanted to pull this tile all the way up to the ceiling in the bathroom.
So it's a bathroom, it's a little extra bathroom, but it's also the laundry room.
Too. Yeah.
So we're trying to pack everything in there as tight as we can. And that's why they have a wall-mounted toilet in order to conserve space.
I don't think we can go. Let me see. Can we go in here? Oh no, I guess we can't. Is there any barrier between the washing machine and the dryer and the bathroom part, or is it just, are you exposed to the side?
It's just open. So
okay, yeah.
If you're in the bathroom and sitting in the restroom, you are looking at the side of the laundry.
Yeah.
And then if you scroll left, Nick.
Oh, I think I'm kind of going crazy here. Yeah. Sorry.
So that cabinet on the left is actually on wheels.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. That's
because right behind that actually is the electrical panel. And so that way,
right here.
if you need to get the electrical panel, you just wheel that out of the way. And just some of the other interesting features on things like the finish on all the woodwork in the house that was changed. Like all the doors were changed in the house, all the new doors, and the trim was all done with a product called Rubio Monocoat. So it's a healthier finish. It doesn't gas off, and it maintains a really good look, and there's multiple choices in colors and finishes on it. But it just, it's a nice, healthy, non-toxic finish for wood. And then you can see the homeowners added that wallpaper after the project.
I was wondering if you were going to point that out.
I really like the wallpaper.
I actually love it too.
If I could figure out a wall in my house to make that work, I would do it.
You know, I actually considered it after I saw this too. I haven't quite convinced my wife yet, but it's like a jungle. I gotta say, this family's houseplant game is on. They've just got beautiful houseplants. That's what I'm taking away from the pictures. Well, I don't know. Let me check. I haven't looked at the participant list here. Looks like we got some new folks in here. I'm going to go back and take a look at the before pictures again. If anybody's
let's see here. I'm trying to see questions.
Oh, sorry. The original location of the electrical panel.
So it's in the exact same location, and that was the issue with why we had the moving cabinet there. They wanted cabinet for storage and coats and other things, and without taking up a lot of space in the other room and trying to move the electrical panel, which adds a lot of extra cost, we kept it there and just had a cabinet that was put on wheels so that it can be moved out of the way to get to the cabinet easily. And just on the other side of the wall on the outside, which we didn't get pictures of, that is where the on-demand hot water heat system is mounted on an outside wall, pretty much right behind what the washer and dryer is.
Thanks, Tracy, for the nice solution comment. Okay, once again, I'm gonna scroll through these before pictures. You can see the original counter there. Not much working space. We're looking into the living room space again with the fireplace that was there originally. You can see the low ceiling.
If you look to the left, there is that little area over there. That was the laundry room and door to the backyard. And so that was a lot of the same feel of that is there, but the sizing of it has changed a little bit.
Once again, in the after pictures, you'll see this window was moved over about 1.5 feet, and then the new addition was added here. There's some stuff removed here as well. This is the old front of the house with the original Ipe ironwood that was extended and finished, that we extended and finished. That ironwood is cool because it naturally finishes kind of a gray silvery color on its own without anything on it.
And it, being that it's from a different hemisphere, there are no bugs in the northern hemisphere that know how to eat it, so it will not rot. It will potentially warp a little, and it will shrink and swell depending upon how wet it is, but it will not just rot out and fall apart over time.
And here are some of the after pictures again. The cabinets, we already answered the question about the lower cabinets, or did we, Doug? What was this material again?
So it's wood. It's just a laminate to look like a barnwood.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay. This is looking back into the addition that was added on this side here. This is the window that was moved over to the right to create space for that. This is looking the other way into the living room.
So for anybody who's looking in there, the appliances like the fridge and the dishwasher were all specifically made to have the to be counter depth and to have the finishes of the cabinet themselves on them, so they blend in and disappear more. So like that is the fridge there on your right. And the dishwasher is just to the side of the sink, but they all are made to have panels to put on them to match the cabinets. That way you're not staring at, a big, huge piece of stainless steel or black, and it helps disappear a little more.
Thank you, Helen. That the compliment about the difference between the before and after pictures. So this is your dishwasher down here, Doug? Is that correct?
No, it's to your right, to the right of the sink.
Oh, okay, gotcha. There we go. Over there.
There's another question from Krista. We were probably working on this for about, I think it's like 5-6 months. Because the only thing that we did not remodel in this house were the 3 bedrooms and the bathroom. But we worked on the entire rest of the house. And so they huddled in their 3 bedrooms and invented a little outdoor covered area to do all their cooking. So it was like camping for several months.
It was great.
Hard to see. Those guys FaceTime us.
So once again, the ceiling, the roof was lifted up here and vaulted. The whole new metal roof was put on the house. Thanks, Bruce.
Very nice.
And then things like the beams, there's one right there in your picture, and there's another one at the entryway. After we installed them, everyone kind of looked at the beam and decided to leave it exposed and just put a stain finish on it, just to be a interesting feature.
Done.
And so those are just the PSLs that were sanded and filled and stained.
Awesome.
There you can see the ironwood path and deck.
Very nice. Someday we'll come see it. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks for joining us.
Bye.
This is great. This is great.
Thanks for the question, Kelly. I think we replaced Doug, you replaced all the doors, correct?
We replaced all the doors in the house. The bedroom doors and the bathroom doors were all redone. They were single panel painted doors, and they wanted wood finish doors that were all just a solid flat panel. And if you, I don't know if we can scroll to your right there, Nick. If that's
Sorry.
on that one.
Did I just lose my? Sorry.
No, it's not letting you do it.
No, I actually just accidentally closed my. I actually should get it back up. 1 second here.
So like that door on your right, that is a mahogany door that was stained, and it goes, they wanted floor to ceiling. With it, and it has a track system in the ceiling for it to carry the door. But all the other doors are also flat doors, but they were, they're not the mahogany. They were, I'm blanking the name of the wood right now. Sorry. And they were all finished, and they were just solid flat slab doors like that. They wanted to make it as simple as possible without any extra little areas to clean in the house. They're kind of making a little more of a modern feel to this old house. I could answer a question from Bruce. The slab was a piece of slab wood that the homeowner went out and found, and I think he got it at one of the used building places, and I think it was Earthwise is where he ended up with it, or something maybe. And it was actually quite it had been sitting outside a while, so it had taken on some abuse. So it took a little bit of sanding to clean that up. But he found that, and then we just cut it and fit it into space, into that place. And then the coat rack that is above it is the other part of that wood, the cutoff from it. And when we saw we had this extra piece, I thought it would be a good idea. We can put that up there, create a little bit of a shelf for them and somewhere to hang their coats from. Because they were just going to put a couple hooks on the wall, but this was giving us a little bit more of a feature with that.
Does anyone else have any questions? Cost per square foot for this project? Ooh, that's
in the end, because of some of the choices they made, like the metal roof and a few other things, it was about $500 a square foot, approximate. I can't remember if it's a little more or a little less. But they specifically made some choices that they knew were going to be a little bit more than what they really needed to spend. But the metal roof was one of them because they needed, he liked the design of this particular roof. And it also is a folded metal seam roof so that you can make this almost a perfectly flat roof, and it's going to be watertight. How are we doing, Nick?
Gonna be like 2 minutes. Higher end finishing material like tile, a big part of that cost. Love the roof. Thanks, Amanda. I've got to copy it and send it to myself because of how we're doing this, Doug. I apologize.
Yeah, so the tile, the fire clay tile is a little bit more. than standard tile, that a standard glazed tile you can get, because it's a one-off design for it. And some of the other tile was more of a unique tiles, like in the bathroom. It's like a 3x12 size, and it's kind of uniquely shaped, so it's not like perfectly flat and smooth to each of the other tiles. But they spent a great deal of time looking for products with the designer on what they wanted.
Let's see. So I can, what I'll do real quick is share right now the actual floor plan. And so, and then I'll continue to look for the as-built in a PDF form rather than the, so do you see that, Carrie, does that help?
Yeah, are those hatched areas the new additions?
So this hatched area, it actually in the PDF is looking really dark, but, and let me just kind of.
You can see it, yeah, there you go.
So that's actually to indicate the floor tile. So it's the same.
Oh, okay.
Tile, but the addition is right here. That is the new addition. And so it may be that I'm gonna have to.
It looks fine on my screen.
Oh, I was just looking for a as-built that's not an art AutoCAD file.
Yeah, so just and we didn't touch the bathroom other than
Oops, sorry. Let me.
some sheetrock that we hashed through doing the kitchen. But and or the bedrooms, but we did replace the doors on the bedrooms and bath since they were more visible now. There had been just on the opposite side of the front door of the entry, there was a big coat closet right there that sort of blocked viewing to the bedrooms and the bathroom. And without that there, as soon as you cross through the entry, you can see down that hallway a little bit more. And so we replaced those doors, but then I think we ended up leaving the trim the same. The hardwoods were all refinished because we had put matching hardwoods in the new kitchen area and the new living den space to match the old, and they didn't really want any kind of transition strip, so we refinished all the hardwoods in the new living area, the existing living area, the kitchen, and then down the hallway towards the bedroom and the bedrooms and the bath, but we didn't do the bedrooms. We kept those the same.
So Carrie, I know I can show this to you. It looks like Inigo just joined us.
Yeah.
We were just talking about the before and after of the floor plan. And it looks like I don't have the, I didn't measure the island that was there before, but basically the island was kind of right here where my cursor is. And we can see kind of where how much larger the utility space was.
Yeah.
Oh, that's very helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, and it does look like we moved the door over.
Yeah,
So we did move
we did.
the door over. It was here,
Yeah.
and we moved it over to there essentially. And we moved this window over and took out this closet, took out this thing that was right here. There's some kind of thing there.
And the chimney.
Yeah, we basically extended the kitchen towards the front of the house, extended this whole area towards the front, extended this towards the front, and reduced the size of what was here, and then created this new entry. So this is the before photo taken early in the morning, so it was pretty bright. But so you can see that, you know, there was the door there, and this is the window that we moved over to be able to do that.
Right. Yeah, because without the addition, you just really walked in right into the living space, and with nowhere for no good locations for like taking off shoes and
Exactly.
coats and all of that without it sort of scattering and being in the space.
And the island was much smaller before, and we extended it much further west towards the living room, since we had more space to be able to do that. And I will go back now to this. As you can see, that's really opened up now because we took that coat closet out and really opened the space up. This is, of course, significantly smaller. This is wider and moved farther forward.
I think one of the things that they've really been like functionally happy with is having those specialized outlets in the counter.
Yep.
So they're required by code that we have outlets every so often, but then also doing it in that way has really allowed them. Like, I think we only needed to do 2 by code, but they wanted the 3rd one because they knew it was going to be a space that their family like collected with their laptops and phone charging and things like that. And I've been really grateful for having those extra spaces, and probably particularly now that so many people are working and schooling from home.
Exactly. I don't think I have a photo from this project of one open, but I might have one from another project having it open.
The outlets.
Yeah, but anyway,
they just sort of push open and
yep.
Flip around, and then there's the outlets right there. So it's really convenient, reduces cords all over the place and trip hazards.
Exactly. And so I'll just kind of keep moving this. This is a pocket door that has a specialized track so that we could do a flush track to the ceiling. And so it just created a really clean look that fits with this type of detail as well. And now we can see here, this added window and just what a difference it made to open up the roof line of the space, because I think it was just under 8 feet before. They have a lot of really nice spaces around their house since they're landscape designers. So I feel like we've made their house work better with the surrounding landscape that they've just so beautifully designed. Is there a place I should go, Laura?
I think we can talk about, we have some new folks in here. So I think one of the things about this space is that at the far end towards the front of the house, at the far end of the counter right there is where the transition happened with the flooring. So they had, in the front house, they had their old floor. And then when they had done their kitchen remodel before, they had put in new flooring for the kitchen and the other space. But because of how things were moving around, we were going to have to do a lot of patchwork. And they decided that, like, to really get a good flow going, really sticking with the original floors in the main space in the front entry area, and then extending that towards the fireplace really made a lot of sense. So we're able to reuse and refinish. We refinished all the way down the hallway on the other side of the kitchen, but then stopped at the bedrooms to not have to impact them moving totally out of their house.
Oops, sorry, I went the wrong way.
Yeah, you can't go down the other hallway in the back.
Okay, there was photos of that, so I thought maybe we would be able to, but we can't. Okay.
And I think, one of we use Belmont Cabinetry throughout. Belmont has a nice story about how they low and no VOC materials and are very attuned to sustainability. Whoops.
Oh, sorry.
Snorkeling.
Oh, I don't know what happened. Something crashed.
So yeah, Belmont has a really nice story. It's one of the cabinet companies we like to use. There's like 3 or 4 that are well priced and have a really good story about, and do a good job of low toxicity and high efficient use of their materials in building their products. One of the other features we really liked is the fire clay tile. They're sort of one of the first manufacturers to use a lot of like 100% recycled content in their tile. They're made out of California. They have a huge long timeline to get them, but it's worth it. They just have some really beautiful colors and quality of material.
They also have some really wonderful shapes. And
Yes.
so this was a fun shape to work with to create a pattern for their backsplash. And they have a lot of other fun shapes as well.
Yeah.
And you can see, how nicely this is turning the corner in there and everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just really sweet, really well-made products. The consistency is really great. We had one project where we used fire clay, and the homeowners decided right before install of it for their backsplash that they wanted a herringbone design, sort of more of like a chevron-y kind of look to their backsplash, which actually takes more tile to do.
Yeah.
So we had to order more tile, and fire clay is so awesome. They have you send one of the tile from the batch you have and then match it. And
Wow.
they spend time and effort making sure that the extra tiles that they produce for you match the ones that they did before. Because every time the clay body changes a little bit, the humidity in the air is slightly different. There might be minuscule differences in glaze content, and that can all change how the tiles are formed when they're handmade. Or artisan manufactured, and so it's something that they really strive to keep consistent, and we really appreciate that. Let's see. Joyce had asked questions about the old floor at the front entrance and the new floor at the kitchen. What was the most difficult part matching the old floor with the new that you didn't notice? Yeah, I mean, it's really a nice seam. I think when you can almost tell when looking this direction, if where just sort of right there is where the transition happened. And one of the keys with doing that is to take up a little bit more of the old floor and then weave it into the new floor, because the grain's just going to be different. You just can't get away with that. Something that was put in, 40 years ago or longer, 100 years ago, is going to look different than grain and wood you have now. So the key is really to do some feathering in of the wood, and then you end up sanding and refinishing the whole thing. Sometimes people have kitchens where there's like a demarcation between the kitchen and the space next to it, and they may not want to refinish all the floors in their house, and so we'll put in a transition board, like a 4-inch board that says this area is slightly different than the other area, and it breaks the visual up so that your eyes don't expect it to look the same. And so that's sort of a trick that we do. What's the square footage of the house, Sherry? It's like,
let's see.
With the
I would say it's
addition,
around 1,500 maybe, or
Yeah.
something like that. It's not a super big house. It's just one level, and it has 3 bedrooms and 1.5 baths.
Yeah.
But it's on a pretty large lot. I want to say it's like a 7 or 8,000 square foot lot. It's a corner lot. They do have a home office in a separate structure, and they also have a couple of other outbuildings outside for storage.
Yeah. 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 So it's a nice size lot for sure. I think one of the other features that really made a difference in this space is what was in the bathroom here, and that we were really trying to keep it small and functional.
Yeah.
And in doing so, they decided to, it was designed to have this corner sink and the wall-hung toilet. Wall-hung toilets are more expensive, but when you're talking about trying to claim those square inches that are really going to matter and how space functions, they're really great.
Yeah, I would agree. And then just having the stacking washer dryer in here, and the thing is with that window there at kind of mirroring the medicine cabinet, it also, I think, keeps the room bright.
Yeah.
That and the LED lighting.
Mm-hmm.
And what we can kind of see here on the left in this view is the pocket door. And so that pocket door is actually all the way up at the ceiling. There's a specialized track in the ceiling that makes it a flush mounted pocket door. I feel like that opens up the space as well.
Yeah, keeping things really up tight to the ceiling. One of our tricks to trying to save a little bit of money on projects is using these LED disc lights. They're, the lights themselves are slightly less expensive than using a can light and a trim kit with them, but they are definitely less expensive for the install, for the labor part. So, it's a small piece of a project, but it can add up depending on how many lights you have. And here, that's a slim disc light right there, and it just hangs down just a little bit, but from a distance, it looks much like a can or a can trim.
And I would say also with these, what's nice about them is that the homeowner doesn't have to do any maintenance. They're a sealed unit, and they last for about 15 years. And so you just simply install them and then they're there. And one of the reasons I like to specify them also is because they just go in a regular, what's called a J box, which is what Laura is talking about when saying that the installation is much less expensive. But what it also does is it means that there's not this big block sitting up inside the roof cavity or attic. And so there's just less air, potential for air movement between the heated space and then the non-heated space. And so that helps with energy use and also the potential for any kind of moisture migration. So.
Right, exactly. And although the addition, which is just this sort of entry area here, the name of the lights is, you can just look up like an LED slim disc is what they are. There's different companies. I think these were Philips.
Yeah, there's Philips Slim Surface, and I'm just going to type it into the chat. And then there's also Juno.
Yeah, and we also use Satco. Satco is another company that we like.
And I'm going to just, I will go ahead and look up the actual real name for Juno and for Satco.
Yeah, so that's a really good thing. I don't know if you talked about, Sherry, too, that this light you see kind of above the bookcase is actually not a light, it's a solitube. And so the solitubes are an awesome way of getting natural light into a space without the expense of a skylight. So with the skylights, you have framing and you have roofing, patching and flashing, and you have drywall work and more painting and all the things, and then the actual skylight itself. And so with the solitube, it's just what's the word I'm looking for? Like a plexi on the surface in the space, in the interior space. And then there's a highly reflective tube that goes up to your roof with a little dome, a plastic dome on top of your roof. And so that dome brings in the light, and then the light reflects against the really reflective tube and then shines into your space. They are fantastic, and it's probably a third of the cost to do a solar tube than it is to do a skylight. You can't see out them like you can with a skylight, so sometimes that is reason to do a skylight. The other thing about the solar tube is that it does bring that natural light in without having to have heat gain from the glass of a skylight. So that's an added benefit as well. We use them a lot. We use them a lot in bathrooms and in hallways.
Exactly.
To get more light into those spaces, but also in living spaces themselves.
And I would say, to add to that, one of the, similarly to kind of the comparison of a slim LED and the installation of that, comparing that with a recessed can, it's a similar comparison between a solar tube and a skylight. With the skylight, there's just significant more energy loss. And I really like skylights, so it's not that I'm knocking skylights, but it's just, I always like to think of a skylight as something that we use for a very specific purpose, because we are going ahead and making that trade-off with energy consumption.
Yeah. And one of the other things I started to talk about is with the entry, even though it was a very small square footage space, we still used all of our typical high performance building style and technique on that space. We use special weather resistant barriers and vapor barriers on that, so that allows the house to breathe out any moisture in the space and keep rain and moisture from coming in. And then also we had a little extra wool insulation from another job, and so we use that in the attic space above the addition. Wool is really fantastic. It's definitely, of all the things we do in green building, other than solar, but we do in most of our projects, wool is definitely an add-on, but it is an amazing product. It doesn't mold, it's resistant to mold, and it also doesn't settle as much as some other insulation does. And it helps to actually clean the air and sequester carbon. So it just is a beautiful product. Sometimes we'll use it just around bedrooms, since you're in your bedrooms for so long of the day. I mean, we think of it as not a place that we're in much because we're asleep when we're in there, but we're actually in there more than we are typically in other parts of our house. Or if we can, we like to use it over the whole thing. Actually, we were using the Haverlock wool, like actual wool.
Which one?
Haverlock wool.
Oh, okay.
Not rock wool, it was real wool, sheep's wool.
Gotcha. Yeah. And
yeah.
I also would recommend this product, but I will look up that.
Yeah, rock wool is nice too. It's definitely has some of the same attributes. It is a much higher energy cost in production than sheep's wool, even when you factor in transportation and feeding of sheep and those sorts of things. It's still a higher energy production to get the rock wool product, but it's less expensive, and so it's a good trade-off when Haverlock wool is just something that isn't attainable on your project.
I have a question for you all. So I heard that you use the Haverlock insulation. I have an interesting situation with a finished attic, and it's a 2x4 framing. And I have gotten so many mixed messages from so many different building scientists and architects and contractors, whether to insulate or not insulate.
Hmm.
Would the wool insulation work in a space that is that small without any kind of breathing room?
So for the 2x4s, is it that it's that the 2x4s are just they're like this? And there's
Yep. The drywall follows the pitch of the roof. So
Right.
there's all you have are 2x4s. It's a 1916 house.
right.
So right now there's nothing up there because it was like, well, if you put something up there, you could get all sorts of issues with condensation. And so I'm still researching possibilities.
I would say that there's a number of things to look into. One is, are the 2x4s overspanned and are they starting to sag?
Nope, they look good.
So that would be a thing to look into. And then the other thing to look into, like the best way to insulate a roof like that is to basically build another roof on top of it, like to put
Yeah.
more 2x4s on top of it, and
Right.
then put some kind of rigid, and take the roofing off, put the rigid insulation outside, and then put new roofing over it. And that may or may not be possible for your situation.
Not anymore. There's solar panels on the whole south side.
Yeah, so you're not going to be able to do that. And then
Right.
so what I would say is that the right now the roof is not vented, and it ought to be vented, or it ought to be built so that it could be vented. And so to build it so that it could be vented, you would actually be furring down inside and adding
Ugh.
inside. And then
Yeah, that's the
space.
height inside is limited as well. So I've just got to be able to use the 2x4 space in there. So yeah, it's kind of a tricky situation.
It is a tricky situation.
We have been using the wool and unvented roofs.
Oh, that's what I was asking. That's exactly the question is, can you use it? And is there a condensation problem with the wool? Probably not as much as like cellulose,
Right.
but just a question to put out there for you all.
Yeah. No, because it's mold resistant. And
Right.
there was something else about, you really should talk to Lucas about it. He can.
Okay.
And I think Green Home Solutions, which is one of the tour sponsors, I think that they also they may also sell the wool, we have been successfully using it in our unvented roofs. We've gotten away entirely from foam.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
And then that's why I haven't done anything. It was just like, well, the cellulose is the issue. I don't want to do foam. Okay, what we have left is an option. So
Right.
Thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Yeah, we've even been getting away from foam on air sealing and having our insulators use the wool to fill in those gaps instead of.
Right, got it. Okay, thank you.
You can see the texture on that wall a little bit. It's really cool. Kind of looks like reminds me of like a glacier or something.
Exactly. And if you turn around, that's on the island as well.
Mm-hmm.
Just down below.
Yeah, right there.
Interesting.
I wonder how they like cleaning it.
That was one of my questions.
Yeah, sometimes like we've had homeowners ask about that kind of textured three-dimensional tile for backsplashes, like behind stoves and stuff, and we've discouraged it because the grease will just hold on to all those edges and make it much harder to clean.
Yeah. I think at the fireplace, it's really just going to be dust.
Yeah.
And there at the island, it's not on the cooking side, so that's positive.
Yes. But it is at the kid feet side.
It is, yeah. I'm curious to see how it wears over time.
Yeah.
What is the beam? Is that? It doesn't look like a solid wood, but am I
It's
wrong?
a PSL. that's a PSL, and so
Okay.
we had a lot of discussion about whether we would wrap it with the hemlock that is used on all the other door trim. So that was one of the things we considered doing, is wrapping it with the hemlock. And then ultimately the owners decided that they really just like the idea of, you know, keeping the exposed PSL. So that's what's there, and so it's clear coated.
Oh, nice.
Video, and I think a little bit of fill here and there. You can start to see that a little bit because it's not meant to be a finished surface. So
Right.
it got sanded a bit and filled a bit, and then Rubio on it.
Yeah.
So same thing here.
Well, unless you get a microscope, it looks very nice at the first appearance and as you go through it.
Yeah, I think it's fun. It kind of fits with the textures that they were going for,
Yeah.
and they found some live edge wood at Second Use, Doug crafted into the bench and the shelf, and then kind of repeating this paneling on the slope ceiling here that's also on the slope ceiling all the way down
Right.
here. So
Yeah, very nice.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to go too much over the 1 o'clock limit today. Happy to be able to see it and really get a great feeling for a great project. So good work.
yeah. Well, thank you for coming by, Alan.
You're very welcome. Delighted.
Yeah.
All right. Take care, you guys. Maybe
You
we'll
too.
see you tomorrow. See some of you tomorrow.
Yeah. I'm gonna pop around a little tomorrow.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Ciao, Alan.
Bye.
Bye, Alan.
Bye-bye.